There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's training all on Excel. I am so excited that you are here. Let me know in the chat where you are listening from, and how about we go with what level are your Excel skills right now? So you can go beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So right down below this video, there's a button that says chat, and you can let me know in there. Make sure you're set to talk to all panelists and attendees, or hosts, or everyone. You can just select to type to everyone. I guess they changed their options there, which I didn't realize. So right where you are typing in your chat, right above there, you're going to see a little spot where it says to, and right there you can change it to everyone so that everyone here can see your responses. Okay, so let me know where you're listening from and what your Excel skills are right now, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And we are going to get right into things. I'm actually really quickly before we start going to do a very quick post on Facebook to let everyone know that we are starting, just in case they missed the email reminders. So I'm going to do that, and then I will get to the chat. So for those of you just joining us, we're going to put in the chat where you're listening from and your current Excel skill levels, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And here we go. Okay, I just posted on Facebook so that everyone can get that notice or message, hopefully. Okay, so now closing that. All right, so let's see, where is everyone from and what are the levels, the Excel skills? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of beginners. That is great because today's session is really going to be focused on the beginner level, someone that probably is maybe opened Excel but very inexperienced with it. So that's what today's session is going to be all geared towards. If you are on the more intermediate or advanced, I'm sure you'll still get some out of today's session. We're going to be talking about how Excel can be used in actuarial work. So that might be something that's interesting for you. But just so you do know, it's more geared towards beginners. We have people all over the US, some in Canada. Awesome. I am also in Canada, so I love seeing other Canadians on these calls. Well, I really love seeing everyone on these calls. Philippines, Pakistan too. Wow. Okay. It must be getting a little, or it must be pretty early in the morning over there, I would think. Malaysia. Okay. So welcome everyone. I am going to try to keep today's session to an hour and 15 minutes at the most. So I'm going to get started. All right. So you guys have already let me know where you are at in terms of Excel skills. If you are just joining us, let us know in the chat. Are you beginner, intermediate, or advanced? So today's session is all about Excel. We are actually going to be building a tool in Excel. So if you have another screen that you can follow along with me, that would be awesome. Just get that up. If it's easy to access, it would be ideal if you had two screens. One so that you can follow along with what I do or just watch what I'm doing, and another screen that you can actually do this yourself. So before we get into that, we do need to talk about Excel a little bit and why it's so important for the actuarial career. There are really 5 major things that actuarial employers are looking for in top candidates, and technical skills is one of those very important things. And when it comes to technical skills, I'd say I actually know the number one thing that you are going to see over and over and over again on job postings is that actuarial employers want someone that knows how to use Excel. And I worked in actuarial positions for about 6 years in total, and I used Excel 99% of my days at work. So it's a very important tool to know how to use. You have to be a master at Excel, and the better you are, the higher chances you are going to, there's other things that you have to do in order to be a great candidate, but the better your Excel skills are, the better candidate that you are going to be as well. So it's a very important tool to know how to use. And I have unfortunately seen that candidates in the past applying for jobs, some of the time, one reason that they get rejected for a job or don't get interviewed, it is very common that it's because they don't have the level of Excel skills or technical skills that the employer is looking for. So those are all hopefully very good reasons for you to just understand why Excel is so important. It's why I'm doing this whole session today on Excel, because it is something that you absolutely need to do or know if you want to be a great actuarial candidate. So I am going to show you now, I'm going to share on my screen what we are going to be creating today in Excel. So let me pull that up and then share my screen with you. Okay, so we are going to be creating a very simplified Excel premium calculator. So obviously in insurance, you're dealing a lot with premiums. So I kind of tried to relate today's project to insurance, since that's what you'll be using it a lot for. So today's task is going to be create this very simplified Excel calculator, premium calculator. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to create this table. There's a bunch of different things we can do there. And then we're going to create this tool that connects to the table. So what we'll do is we'll be able to input the type of driver, whether they're a good driver or a bad driver. And then we'll be able to input the type of vehicle that they're driving, a truck, a car, or a van. And then our tool is going to be able to figure out what the premium for that type of driver is, the combination of driver and vehicle. So let's look at an example. If we are trying to find the premium for a truck driver that is, or a bad driver that is driving a truck, the premium here in the table would be $9.50. But imagine this table being way bigger with tons and tons and tons of different numbers in it. Well, it would be really time consuming to have to find those numbers. Imagine there's 100 different types of vehicles and maybe, I don't know, 10 different driver types. That would be a huge table. So if we imagine that, then the purpose of this tool becomes clear. It will make it a lot easier to find the premium and a lot quicker. So let's go back to that example. If we have a bad driver that's driving a truck, the premium here is $9.50. Well, our tool is going to be able to really easily pick up that value. If we put bad in here, and then I already have truck filled out, but you see it automatically figures out that the premium is $9.50. So we don't even have to rely on looking at this table. The tool here, the calculator, it figures it out for us. So if we look at another example, maybe we can do a good driver that is driving a van. Well, their premium would be $1,000 or $1,050. And if we go back to our table here, we see that a good driver with a van, the premium is $1,050. So that's the tool that we are going to be making today. I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. We're going to get into some Excel formulas and stuff like that too. So let me know in the chat, is this something that you could create right now by yourself, or are you looking forward to learning how to do this type of thing in Excel? Let me know in the chat. All right. And make sure you are set to talk to everyone. So right when you are chatting or where you go to put your answers in, then right above that, there's a spot that says who you're typing to. So it will say to, and then you just have to select everyone. And that way everyone can see your responses. All right. Okay, so, and yes, if you did come to a previous live session that I did, it's the same tool that we did last time. But I'm glad that you need a refresher on it. So great. Okay. So I am going to Go here. Okay, so I did write some notes on my computer. If you see me looking at my computer, it's basically just to look at some notes there. I don't want to forget to tell you anything. Also, right down below this video, there's a button that says Q&A, and that is where you can put any questions you have about throughout today's session. I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. Make sure you're concentrated on the session. We're going to go fairly quick, so you'll have to keep up with what I'm doing. Like I said, we're going to try to keep this to an hour. And just a little bit of background on me. If you don't know anything about me, I'm Bria. I'm an associate of the Society of Actuaries, and I went to the University of Waterloo here in Canada. I got my first full-time job after I graduated. I worked there for about 4 years. And then prior to that, I had some internship experience in actuarial positions as well. So in total, I have about 6 years of experience working in actuarial positions. I have decided, well, probably about 2 years ago, I decided to quit my full-time actuarial job and focus 100% on helping aspiring actuaries like you all to achieve success in the actuarial career as well. So that's what I do full-time now, is help aspiring actuaries become actuaries. So this session is something that I'm doing to help you guys all learn Excel. It's so important in the actuarial career. And we do also have an Excel Ninja Challenge coming up that's going to go even beyond what we learn in today's session. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll definitely share more details about it closer to the end of the session. But I do want you to know that that's coming up. And that's just one of the ways that we help aspiring actuaries gain the skills and the qualifications that they need to get actuarial jobs. Okay, so now let's jump into this tool. Are you ready? In the chat, say TU for thumbs up if you are ready to go. Now I am going to share my screen again with you. Okay, so this is the part where you are going to follow along. So basically, I'm going to go step by step through exactly how we would create this tool. We'll go through the exact formulas you would use and everything like that. So you can use Excel, or if you don't have Excel, then you can use Google Sheets. It's really easy. If you just type in your browser Google Sheets, that should come up and you'll be able to follow along that way as well. Just things will be in slightly different places, but everything should work fairly similar. Okay. So first we're going to start by creating this table. And I'm going to start a new sheet, but if you're just opening Excel, it should just give you a blank sheet. Now all of this is called a sheet in Excel, and there's different tabs here so you can move between different sheets. And if you're not familiar with other terminology, this right here, that's called a cell. So we have cells, and then a sheet is comprised of a whole bunch of different cells. And then you can switch between different sheets with these tabs. Okay, so I'm going to start a new tab, but like I said, if you're just opening Excel, you should have a blank sheet already available. So what we're going to be doing is creating this premium table first, and then we'll get into creating the lookup tool so we can look up the premium. All right, so how about we start by, I'm going to change the vehicle types here. So let me know in the chat what vehicles you want to use. You can each give me one, and I'll select the first 3 types of vehicles that pop up, and those will be the ones that we work with today. So in the chat, let me know your favorite vehicle. Okay, we have a scooter, a Chevy, and a motorcycle. So scooter, Chevy. I'm not going to use Chevy because that's a brand name. Oh, I've got airplane. Okay, good one. Airplane. And motorcycle was the other one. Okay, so input those into your cells. Now, another thing that you should know is that we reference the different cells by the letter and the number. So if we're looking at this cell right here, we reference that as cell D7. So you should try to put your words, your vehicles, in the same cells as I did. So in D7, D8, and D9. And that's going to just make it the easiest to follow along with me. If you want to try to go a bit different than what I'm doing, you can certainly put them in other areas. You're just going to have to slightly accommodate for your words being in different spots. Okay. So we have our 3 different vehicle types. And again, if you want to, you can choose different vehicles. We're going to go with scooter, airplane, and motorcycle instead of car, truck, and van. And now we're going to put good driver and bad driver. Okay, so good driver and bad driver. Okay, so we have those in our cells. Now, what I'm seeing right now is that it looks like since the columns aren't wide enough, some of our words are being cut off, and we don't really want that. So what you can do is you can just go to the top of the column, right in between the 2 columns, and you'll see your cursor goes similar to what mine looks like right now. If you just double click, you're going to see that automatically it will increase the size of the column. And these are called columns. These ones here are called rows. So we have our columns and our rows. So if you double click there, it's going to increase the size of the column so that it fits the whole text in there. And we can do the same thing with this column. And I also see that motorcycle is a bit overlapping with the column as well. So we can do the same thing there. And when you do that, it's just going to make it adjust to the longest text word that you have in there. Okay, so now let's think of some premiums. So what should the premium be for someone that is a good driver and drives a scooter? Let me know in the chat. 120, okay. And what about the good airplane drivers? What should their premium be? $2,000, okay. The airplane insurance is very expensive. And then what about for motorcycle? What should the premium be for a motorcycle driver? Okay, 50. Perfect. Okay, so for bad drivers, we're going to use some formulas to calculate these. So how about for our bad driver, we make the premium 2 times as much as it is for a good driver. So what you can do is you just put an equal sign, and then you can put 120 and then multiply it by 2. So to multiply, we just use the star symbol like that. And make sure you put the equal sign in there. You have to do that whenever you're putting a formula into Excel. And then you can press enter. Now 120 times 2 is 240. So it looks like this is working as we expect. Another thing you could do is instead of putting in 120, what we could do is we could just click on this cell here where it already says 120. And then we could just multiply that by 2. So now we have E7, which it's going to take the value in E7. And then it's going to multiply it by 2. So I'll press enter here and we get the same result. Now, what's nice about this option is if you change this number in the good driver premium, then the bad driver's premium is automatically going to adjust because we've referenced this cell here. So let's just say that we decided to change the good driver premium for a scooter to 125. Well, once we do that and we press enter, you're going to see in F7, the bad driver premium is automatically going to increase to 250. So that's what Excel does. Whenever you make any change in the workbook, it automatically recalculates all your formulas. You can turn that function off if you, for some reason, don't want it to do that, but most of the time you would want it to always update whenever anything changes. Okay, now let's look at our airplane driver. Now, for our bad airplane driver, let's say we're going to triple the premium. So we'll do, and how about instead of multiplying it by 3, we will just divide by 0.33 instead. So that's just another way to almost multiply by 3. So if you do equals, and then we reference our 2000, we can just use the divide symbol, a slash, and we'll just divide it by 0.3333, like that. And we should get fairly close to 6,000 when we press enter here. Okay, so we get 6,000 and a few decimal places. And now for motorcycle, so we've done, well, let's do addition. So for bad drivers that are motorcycle drivers, let's say the premium is just $100 more for bad drivers. So all you have to do is do equals, reference your cell that says 50, and then we'll add 100 to that, just like that. And then I'm going to press enter. Okay, so now we have our numbers figured out. Now, for me, I always like to get rid of these decimal places. So for this one, we see that there's some decimals showing. What you can do there is if you go to your home tab, you're going to see these options here where you can increase the decimal or decrease the decimal. So if you select the cell that has the decimal places, you can just remove some of them by clicking this button. Now it'll just round it to the nearest whole number if we get rid of all the decimal places. And just so you know, that's only what's showing on the screen. It's still actually holding all those decimal places in the cell. It's just that we can only see the whole rounded number. All right, so now let's put some borders on here and figure out the color for the top of your table. So for borders, what you have to do is you're going to have to find this one right here. It'll show you, it kind of looks like, I don't know, cells with a bit of a border at the bottom. This symbol right here. So if you select a whole bunch of different, or a bunch of cells, then you can then go to this section that says borders. And let's use this option that says all borders, and that's going to put borders around all of our different cells that are selected. And then we're going to do the same for these ones up here. So now you should have borders around all of your table, and at the top in my example, we had it so that there was a color at the top here. So to add some color, all you have to do is highlight the cells you want colored, and then you're going to find this option that says fill color, and then you can select which of these colors you want it to be. So I'm going to pick blue again, like I did last time, but you can pick any color that you would like. Okay, so now we have our table. Let me know in the chat if you got your table made and if it looks similar to mine or if you're having trouble. If you have any questions, I will answer those too. Oh, if you're adding borders on Google Sheets, well, it should look fairly similar. Just a second. I'll have to pull up Google Sheets here and see if I can find it for you really quick. Okay, so on Google Sheets, you're going to use this right here, this symbol, and that will put borders around all the cells that you highlight. And you can select this one for all borders. All right. Okay, let's see if there are any other questions. Answered. Okay, and okay, so you got that done. Everything's looking good. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so we will keep moving on. It looks like everyone is getting this part so far. Now, this is the easier part. The harder part comes when we start getting into some more complex formulas. So now I'm going to open another tab. Oh, and I forgot to show you how to name your tab. So right now it's probably called Sheet 1. But if you just double click on the tab name, then you're going to be able to name it anything that you want to. So I'm going to call mine Premiums 2. And I'm naming it Premiums 2 because I already have a tab named Premiums, and Excel won't let me name the two different tabs the same thing, which is probably for the best. So I'm going to name mine Premiums 2. You can call yours Premiums, Premiums 2, or whatever other name you would like to give it. And then once you do that, you can press enter and it will save the tab name. All right, so now we are going to create another tab or another sheet, another tab for our lookup tool. So all you have to do is press this new sheet option right here. There should be a little plus sign. So that will create a new sheet for you. Again, we can name it. I'll call mine Lookup Tool 2, since I already have a lookup tool. All right, so our lookup tool is going to look something like this. We're going to have the driver type, the vehicle, and those are going to be inputs that we put into our calculator. And then it's going to output a premium. So whenever you create a tool, usually you refer to the inputs and outputs. Inputs are everything that you're going to enter in yourself or that you have to give the calculator in order for it to figure out what is the output or what is the answer. So let's go into cell C5. We'll start by putting the driver type. And then in cell C6, we will put the vehicle, if I can spell vehicle. Okay, and then we'll put premium, just like that. We're going to double click here so that our column is wide enough to fit all of these different words. And there's no overlapping. All right, and then we have a border in the example. So let's put our border on now. A border. So I'm just going to highlight those and then I'm going to select all borders, just like that. And now we have something that looks fairly similar to this without any values filled in. Oh, I also colored this orange. And it looks like I bolded the premium section. So to bold something, what you have to do is just highlight the cell that you want to bold, or you can highlight multiple cells if you want them all bold. But all you have to do is click this bold symbol, and you can italicize or underline too if you want to. All right, so now we're going, before we get into how to create these different formulas, we're going to have to learn how to use an if statement. So an if statement is basically a function, a formula you can use in Excel. So it's going to first evaluate a certain formula or statement. And then if that statement is true, it's going to give us one answer. But if it's false, it's going to give us a different answer. So I'll show it an example, because if you're like me, you usually learn better just by watching examples. So let's just I'm doing this in cell F12, but really this is just an aside separate from the tool so that you can learn how these formulas work. So you can really do this anywhere. So if we put equals, and then if, and then bracket. So first you can see it's asking for a logical test. So we have to ask it if something is true. So what I should have done is maybe just put a number in here. So I'm going to put a number right here. For now, I'm just going to put 500. And that's in cell F9. So then I'm going to go back to my formula. If, now we're going to, what is the logical test? What do we want it to check? So I'm going to have it check if this value right here is less than 1,000. So this is the formula equation, I don't know, that we want it to evaluate. Now, if this is true, then I want it to say it's lower, or how about we just put lower? Because if F9 is less than 1,000, then it's going to be lower than 1,000. And if it's false, if that statement is false, then we want it to say higher. And make sure you put all your text in quotation marks like I've done. And we're going to put a bracket at the end. So now what this if formula is saying, it's saying if F9 is less than 1,000, then this is going to return the value lower, or the word lower. If it's not less than 1,000, then it's going to return the value or the word higher. So I'm going to press enter. And since 500 is less than 1,000, I'm expecting that this is going to return the value lower. Okay, so I was right. It says lower, and yours should too if you use the exact same numbers that I did. Now, what we can do is we can change this number to, let's say, 2,000. Now, when I press enter here, automatically it's going to recalculate this formula. And now, since this value here is higher than or greater than 1,000, it's going to give us the value higher. It's going to say higher. So that's how an if statement works in Excel. And these are something that I used very often in my actuarial work. So it's something you definitely need to be familiar with. So any questions about if statements, let me know in the chat or in the Q&A. I'll check on YouTube to see if there's any questions there. Okay, I don't see any questions there. Okay, and I don't see any questions in our chat either. Okay, so it looks like if statements are good to go. It looks like you guys understand them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an if statement that relates to the value here. So our driver type can be either good or it can be bad. So for now, I'm going to fill this in with bad. And now our if statement could say, or we can make another if statement that says equals if this cell equals bad, then I want it to return yes. Or how about we could just go, yeah, I'll say yes. And if it is not equal to bad, then we're going to return no. So basically it's going to evaluate this cell and return yes or no. If it's bad, it's going to return yes. So I'll press enter here and we should get a yes. And we do. And so if I change this to good, we're going to see it change to no. Okay, so there were two examples of if statements. Now, another thing that we're going to need to know to create this tool is a VLOOKUP function. Let me know in the chat, have you heard of a VLOOKUP function? So what a VLOOKUP function does is basically, looking at the chat, yes, I see a lot of you have heard of a VLOOKUP. Okay, good. So these are something that I also used a lot in actuarial work. So basically what a VLOOKUP function does is it will look up a value in your left-hand column, and then it will return values in one of the columns to the right. So for example, if we wanted to look up, we can ask the Excel to look up the word airplane. And then when it finds the word airplane, we can tell it to return either the value that's in this column, the first column, the second column, or the third column of our table here. So again, it's usually easier to understand if we look at an example. So we'll go into an example here. So equals VLOOKUP and then bracket. Now, at first it asks for the lookup value. So let's do our example on airplane. So I want it to look up the value airplane. And then next we're going to put a comma. And then it asks us to input the table array. So basically the table where it's going to find the word airplane. Now for a VLOOKUP formula, you have to make sure that your word that you're looking up or your value that you're looking up is in the column that's furthest to the left. So if I was to select this, it wouldn't work because Excel thinks it's going to find the word airplane in the column that's furthest to the left in our table that we select. So this is going to be our table now. And see how Excel references a table. It'll say the table from D7 to F9. So basically the cell in the upper left-hand corner and the cell in the lower right-hand corner. Okay, so that's our table that we want it to look up in. Now I'm going to put another comma. And for this example, we want it to return let's say the bad driver value, or the premium for the bad driver. So in our table, that is column 3. So this counts as column 1, this counts as column 2, and this one counts as column 3. So if we want the bad driver premium, then we're going to want it to return to us the value that's in column 3. And then in this scenario, we want it to find the exact word airplane. So we're going to put a 0 or true. We can put true. And that will just tell Excel that we want it to find an exact match, not something that's similar to airplane, exactly the word airplane. So get that into your cell and then we will press enter. I'm just going to wait a couple seconds to make sure everyone has a chance to get that in. Okay, so I'm going to press enter now, and what we should get is the value 6001 and our decimal places. So it looks like it worked. Basically, Excel found the value airplane in here, in this column, and then it returned the value that was in column 3 that was associated with the airplane value. Okay. Oh, so Joan had to put 1 instead of true and it still worked. So actually, if you're going to use 1 you can use 0 or 1 instead of true. So you would want to use 0 to match true. 1, if you put 1, you're actually, oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I should have put false, not true. But if you want exact match, then you can put false or you can put 1. Sorry, I messed that up. But it still worked for a 0 because when we're looking for an approximate match, there was nothing closer to airplane than airplane itself. So if I had maybe messed up my spelling of airplane or something and we could have found something that was similar to the word airplane, then mine would have worked before with the 0. But thank you for pointing that out, Joan. Okay. Okay. So that's how the VLOOKUP formula works. We could instead, if we wanted to, we could replace airplane with scooter, just like that. And that did not give us the value that we were expecting. Just a second. VLOOKUP. So the lookup value is scooter. The table is this, 3, and then false. $250. I don't know what was wrong with my formula before, but this is what you should have there. And it will work. Okay. So now in order to get our tool here to work, we're going to have to combine both of those different formulas that we used. We're going to have to combine the if and the lookup, the VLOOKUP formula. So basically, what we're going to do is we'll fill in this. I always find it easiest if we start with an example. So let's do a good scooter driver. So our vehicle will be a scooter. Now, basically, we're going to start with the if statement. So equals if. Now, if this value here equals good, then we want it to return the value 2. If it's not equal to good, which means it's going to equal bad, then we want it to return the value 3. Now I'll explain why we want 2 and 3 in a second. So what we're doing here is equals, if D5, our driver type, equals good, then we're going to have this return a 2. Otherwise, we'll have it return a 3 if it's false. And the reason for that is because if we have good here, that means that we want the premium for a good driver. And the good driver premiums are in column 2 of our table. If it's a bad driver, the premium is going to be in column 3. So we're going to use this if statement to determine which column to get the premium from. So if we have this set to good, then it's going to return the value 2, and that will tell us that we have to get our premium from column 2. If we change this to bad, then that will tell us that we have to get our premium from column 3, which represents the bad driver column, the bad driver premiums. So we're going to use that in addition to our VLOOKUP formula. So if we do equals VLOOKUP, now the value that we want it to look up is this one right here. We want it to find the scooter premium. So that's the lookup value. Now we're going to do a comma. Now we have to give it the table. So we can just go over to our premiums tab, and now we'll select the table. So that's the table we want it to reference to find scooter in. Then we'll do another comma. Now the row, or the column that we want it to return, it depends on whether it's a good driver or a bad driver. If it's a good driver, then we want it to return column 2. But if it's a bad driver, then we want it to return column 3. So for this right now, let's just fill this in with 2. Let's say we want to get the good driver premium. So we're going to have it return the value in column 2. And then again, at the end, we'll just put our false to get an exact match. And then you can press enter. Now it'll take you back to here. So what we've done is we've said look up D6, so the scooter value, in this table and return the second the value in the second column. So it looked up scooter and it returned the value in the second column, 125. So that's for a good driver. But we want this to work depending on whether we input a bad driver or a good driver, right? So that's where this is going to come in, our if statement. We already have this set up so that if this says good, then it's going to return the value 2 for the second column. But if it says bad, then it's going to give us the value 3, which references our third column, our bad driver column. So we can actually just copy this formula, or actually, I'll show you that in a second, but what we could do instead, right now, this formula here, it's referring directly to 2. It's always going to remain 2 because we've hard coded that number in there. But what we can do is just delete that 2 and instead reference this cell right here. So now, if I change this to good, basically when I change that to good, this updates to say column 2, that our premiums are in column 2 because it's a good driver. And then our VLOOKUP formula, it looks up the value scooter in our premiums table. And then it takes the value of F17, which is currently 2 because that's the column we want to look up in. And it will find the value for a scooter in the second column. So it'll take scooter and the second column. Okay, so far, is that clear? Let me know in the chat if you have any questions about that so far, the chat or the Q&A. We put false because we want an exact match. So false means that we want to find the exact word scooter. Okay, so that was a question in the chat. Is it important to write with a capital letter? No, you can put the word false in lowercase letters, and I think it will automatically change them to capital letters. So that would be fine if you did that. Okay, so those are the only questions I see. I don't see any on YouTube either. Okay, so it looks like you guys are understanding that so far. Now we can take this even one step further. Right now, our VLOOKUP formula is referencing this cell right here, F17. But what we can do is instead of having it reference, we can just copy this formula here. You don't want to get the equal sign, but you can just highlight that formula and copy it. And then in our VLOOKUP formula, we can replace this F17 with the whole formula instead. Just like that. So now, if I press enter, it doesn't even reference this cell at all. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, when you click here, click your cell, and then you click into the formula box, it highlights the different cells that you're referencing. So it's highlighting D6 right now and D5. So basically now this formula is going to look up the value D6 scooter in this table, which is on our premiums 2 tab. And then it's going to evaluate this. So basically if D5, which is right now it's good. So it's going to say that this is true. So it will return this value 2. So this whole statement right here, it evaluates to 2, the value 2. So it's going to look up scooter in that table and then return column 2 to us. We press that and then it's all right there. So this right here is basically our premium calculation. So I'm going to copy this cell. You can right click and press copy is one way to do it. You could also do Control C if you'd rather. Or if you're on a Mac, that's a different control something. I'm not on a Mac, so I'm not sure. But then you can go to, now that you have that copied, you can go to your premium cell right here. Now, and actually, sorry, that's not going to work. We'll just have to copy it like this, I think. So highlight the whole statement there and press copy, or right click to copy, or Control C. And then you can go to your premium section and you can paste that formula right in there, or Control V. And when you press enter, you should see the exact same number showing up there as it did here. Command C on a Mac. Okay. Joan, what is the thing that you want me to show one more time? And yes, I'll definitely show it. I'm just not sure what you meant. Okay, so I'm going to wait for Joan's question and come back to that. But now, oh, how did you make our F17 appear as the formula? Okay, so if you just click on the cell, then right up here in your formula box, you're going to see the exact formula that is in that cell right now. So you can highlight it. You don't want to highlight the equal sign, just the if statement part. And then you can either Control C, or you can right click and press copy. And then what we did was we put it right here as our third input into our VLOOKUP formula. Okay, so now I'm going to delete all of this. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You may want to come back to it after the session just to review that all. But basically what we have now is we can change this to bad, and it's going to give us the value 250. If we look at our premium tool, a bad scooter driver has a premium of 250. Now let's look up a good airplane driver. Good airplane. Okay, so then it gives us 2,000, exactly like we were expecting. So put a thumbs up in the chat, a TU, if your whole calculator right now is working. Thumbs up, okay, good. We have lots of thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, great. So basically, this is just a very small amount of what Excel can do. It's a very small amount of what you'll do in actuarial roles. So like I said, we do have the Excel Ninja Challenge coming up, and it's taught very similar to this. If you're interested in taking this even further, then that would be the next best place to go. Basically, in our Excel Ninja Challenge, we're going to be taking this to the next level. I'll show you a little glimpse into what we're going to be doing in the challenge. So basically, we're going to be creating tons of rate tables. We'll learn a whole bunch of formulas to create these different numbers. It's a lot of random numbers, but we go through the process of creating them just to learn all the different functionalities that Excel has. And then we will be taking our calculator to the next level. So in our small calculator example, we had just a couple different variables, and we did not do anywhere near the calculations of our calculator in the Excel Ninja Challenge. So we'll teach you how to do all of that, and it goes into more formulas and other functionalities that Excel has. And then we even go into some VBA. So VBA is a programming language that would allow you to automate different tasks in Excel. So we go into some of that, and basically it allows us to do something like this, where we can have a policy holder, we can input a bunch of different variables, and then it will calculate premiums automatically. So when I press this button, you're going to see it all fill up. So I just pressed it, and now a few seconds later, it's like right now it's running VBA code in the background, and it just calculated all of these premiums very quickly using this calculator that we will teach you how to create in Excel throughout the Excel Ninja Challenge. So that is what we are going to be creating. Basically, there are going to be 9 video lessons. They're pre-recorded, so you can watch them at your own pace. But we have a whole schedule set out so that it goes through the different courses. We have the different sessions week by week. So you'll go through those, and each week our AAC manager, Nadine, she's amazing with Excel, and she's going to be answering live questions. So each week you'll have the opportunity to come to a live session where you can ask any questions you have about Excel as you go through the different courses or lessons in the Excel Ninja Challenge. So you get all that. There's even an Excel Ninja certificate at the end. And one thing that you do need to know is that once you learn Excel and take a course, that is not where the learning stops. If you've watched my YouTube videos and stuff, you probably know this by now, but a course is just the beginning. Once you learn from a course and understand all the functionality of Excel, it's really important to take it to the next level and then start doing some projects in Excel. And that will really help you solidify your skills in Excel and make sure that you can actually take what you've learned from the course and apply it to a real world situation. So in the Excel Ninja Challenge, we are, of course, going to provide you with projects that you can use to practice the skills that you learn as well. And by going through it, you're really going to have a solid understanding of how Excel works and even some projects that you can add to your resume if you'd like to. And you'll get your Excel Ninja certificate as well. So all of that is happening starting next week. I will put a link in the chat for you where you can go to find out all the information about it. Oh, I also did give everyone here a coupon code to get 1 month for free in our Actuary Accelerator community, which is basically where this challenge is happening. So first of all, I will put a link in the chat to all the information about the Excel Ninja Challenge. So that is in there now. And so that starts on Monday of next week. That's going to be when the first sessions go ahead. And we already have tons of members signed up for that. And then I also will put in the chat, since you are here live, you're going to be able to get 1 month for free in the Actuary Accelerator community, which, like I said, that's where the Excel Ninja Challenge is happening. So if you'd want, you can just come in, join for a month, see what it's all about, start the challenge. It's going to be 12 weeks in total, so you wouldn't be able to go through the whole challenge in just 1 month, but it'll at least give you a start. So the coupon code for your 1 month for free is Actuary. And again, you can just go to that page that I linked in the chat and it will tell you all the details, but just make sure you jot down that coupon code so that you have it if you do want to sign up. All right, so are there any questions about today's session? Anything you want to know further about Excel or the Excel Ninja Challenge? If there are, you can ask in the chat or you can ask in the Q&A section. I will stick around for a couple more minutes if there are any questions. Let me check here. Oh yeah, so if you are already a member of the Actuary Accelerator community, I will show you exactly where you can go. So if you're in the Actuary Accelerator community, if you go to any page, if you just log in, you're going to see that there is a notification bar right at the top of the Actuary Accelerator community. So if you just go there, and then you're going to see the button that says register now. Click that, and then you'll see right at the bottom of this page, there's a spot that says join the Excel Ninja Challenge. You click that button, and you can put in your email address so that you get all the updates about the Excel Ninja Challenge. So this is if you are already a member of the Actuary Accelerator community. Okay. Yes, I am going to send out a recording of this session. The coupon code expires tomorrow night though. So if you do want to use it, you'll have to use it before tomorrow night. Don't forget. Okay. All right. So, so the Actuary Accelerator community is basically where we help aspiring actuaries go through everything that they need to and develop into top actuarial candidates. I guess I should have mentioned a little bit more about that. But basically, you have a step-by-step guide that helps you figure out exactly what you need to be focusing your time on. It helps you network, helps you create a resume, learn technical skills, pass exams, everything that is required to become an amazing candidate. It's all in the Actuary Accelerator community. So this Excel Ninja Challenge is something that we're doing for our members. And it's basically just going to help them get in-depth training on Excel so that they have someone to ask questions to as they go, and doing the projects with a whole group of other people that are doing them at the same time tends to be really fun and helpful. And it really just makes it fun to learn Excel. We teach everything in an actuarial context as well. So these are things that you could potentially talk about during interviews, potentially on your resume and stuff too. So that's what the Actuary Accelerator community there is. There are tons of resources in here in addition to the Excel Ninja Challenge. So if you do decide to join, you're going to get access to everything, all of our exam resources. We have exam piece study material. You'll get access to all our job resources, how to network on LinkedIn, how to create a really good resume. We have a Python coding course as well. So if that's something you're interested in learning, Python, we have a course on that. And if you are someone that is just wants to know the exact path on what they should be focusing on, we have that as well in the overview section here. So the overview, it basically will help you figure out what phase of your actuarial journey you're currently in. And then we give you different modules to go through to help you go through each of these different phases. And as you complete each of the different modules, you become a better and better and better and better actuarial candidate. And by the end, you are an amazing top actuarial candidate, and you're going to be in a really good place to get a job. So we help you with all of that in the AAC. So yeah, the Ninja Challenge is part of the AAC. All right. So I don't see any other questions. Oh, there is one question on YouTube. Are actuarial jobs for young people? I would say there are a very wide range of people working in actuarial jobs. So you're going to find at the entry level actuarial roles, they tend to be younger people because they're often just graduated from school. But there are also people that have decided to change careers, switch into the actuarial role. So they might be a little bit older. So actuarial jobs are definitely not just for young people. There are a lot of people working in entry-level positions. And as you do get to higher level actuarial roles, that's when people tend to need a lot more experience. They have to typically have their exams passed. So they do tend to be a little bit older in the fully qualified actuarial roles, but that's not a rule at all. Like, I know that there are some people that are fully qualified by the time they're like 24, 25, 26, like fairly young still. So yeah, there's definitely a wide range of people working in actuarial jobs. Okay. Christian says, it looks like the Excel Ninja Challenge costs $250 or $249. Yeah, so there are two options to join it. One option is to join for just the challenge. You join and you get just the challenge. So if you take that option, that's $249. And with that, you're going to get access to all the courses that everyone's going to go through. You'll get access to our WhatsApp group for the challenge and our Facebook group for the challenge. You'll get access to all the projects that are there, the live sessions, everything. Or the other option is to join the AAC, the Actuary Accelerator community. So all our members get the Excel Ninja Challenge for free included with their membership. So there are two options to join it. But if you're the AAC, joining the Actuary Accelerator community is really the more affordable way to go because especially since you're getting your first month for free. So overall, it would be cheaper to join the AAC, the Actuary Accelerator community. All right. Okay, I see one more question, and then I'm going to go because I've hit the hour mark. I'm a bit over. So Dion asked in the chat, do actuaries work in groups or teams? That is a great question. So in my experience, I had a team with many other entry-level actuaries working on it. And typically our team was responsible for one overarching task with the company. So for us, I was involved with the valuation team. So it was my responsibility, or our team's responsibility, to calculate the reserves for a company that I worked for. And reserves, if you don't know what those are, basically it's just the amount of money that an insurance company needs to have in order to be able to pay all of the claims that it expects in the future. So we figured out basically how much money the company needed to have to pay for claims that were made in the future. So that's what my whole team did. They were responsible for the whole valuation process. But each of us on the team had our own different tasks that we would do that were involved with that one overarching goal. So actuaries definitely do work on teams, and there are times when you might have a project or something that you have to collaborate with other actuaries. But there also tends to be a lot of independent work where you're just working on your own thing and getting it done. And then those independent things come together to complete a project or a task. So that's in my experience. Every single actuarial position is going to be a little bit different. So in some companies, you might find that there's more collaboration and group work, whereas in other positions, you might find where you're just working independently all the time. And Jason asked one more quick question. Since there's only one more, I'm going to answer it. Is getting a job in underwriting a good stepping stone position? Yeah, so in the Actuary Accelerator community, we talk a lot about stepping stone positions. And basically, that's a position that's going to help you gain some of the experience and skills that actuarial employers value. So I highly recommend getting a stepping stone position because it's going to help you become a much better candidate. And there are so many people that want to become actuaries that don't get that related experience. And it tends to make it much more difficult to get a job. So one of the ways to really stand out is to get a stepping stone position. So Jason asked if underwriting is a good stepping stone position, and I would say that typically underwriting positions are very good stepping stone positions because you're often working closely with actuaries and you're doing a lot of like collaboration with the actuarial team. They also tend to gain a really good understanding of insurance and how it works. And yeah, so underwriting tends to be a very good stepping stone position. But like I've said in the past, I don't want to lead anyone astray. The title it's very difficult to go just off of the title of the job. It really depends on the job description. So I can't say that every underwriting position would be good, but I would say most of them probably are. Okay. So that is all for today. I hope the session helped. I would love to see all of you in the Excel Ninja Challenge if you're wanting to work on your Excel skills and develop them to the level that actuarial employers are going to be looking for, and also practice with those practice projects that we will provide you. So I'd love to see you in there. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and my team. You guys all received emails from me about this session, so you can just reply back to any of those emails. If you have a question or a concern about anything regarding the Excel Ninja Challenge, we will be happy to answer those. All right, and don't forget to write down the coupon code ACTUARY It expires tomorrow. If you wanted to use that to get into the AAC, you're 1 month for free. Okay,